I don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, we need to get here.
I really need my feet to be down, but it's not comfortable. So I'm just
Okay.
gonna have my
That's
knees
cool.
up.
You're good. Hey guys, welcome to another real talk. But
Is that what we're calling them?
I think it's what Dad called the first one. I don't know.
Sit down chat.
A sit down chat. A sit down chat. Okay. Welcome to a sit down chat with Myli.
Welcome to a Bits of Life Lessons.
No. Something. Yes, but no. Okay, so something happened earlier this week that I thought was really cool, and so I've invited Myli to expound on it because it's all about her.
I leave them on like it's something bad. It's not bad. I decided to delete my social media, my Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest.
Pinterest too?
Yeah.
I did not know about that one.
Because it's like things that I'm on that are not good. So, first of all, where this whole thing started was last year for science fair. I did a whole project on it, and you guys can watch vlogs. I talked about that a little bit. About how social media impacted society and how it impacted like individuals, and how like what they do on social media and the things that actually impact them emotionally and stuff, and mentally and things like that. And then the science fair was over and stuff. And then over the summer, I noticed I was spending a ton of time on it, and then I was debating on deleting it or not. So I'd delete it for like a day, and then I'd log back into it in the morning and be like, oh, I just don't need it today. So I turned it off, and then I'd put it back on in the morning. And then 3 days would go by, and I'd look at it every day. And it turned kind of like a morning routine was like, get out of bed, check the social media, make sure no one DM me, make sure like all my posts are up or whatever, and stuff like that. And so it was just getting annoying. And then we had a health lesson, and we watched this video, and it was older people, elderly people, and they asked them, old people, they're so cool, and they asked them questions about their childhood and things, and we talked about, most of the conversation was me and the teacher. Actually, the class didn't really talk much, it's mostly me, but that's okay. And so me and the teacher had a conversation, and we were just talking about how like childhood and stuff, how our childhoods were, and hers was a lot more exciting than mine was because she's like 10 years older than me, obviously. But like when I was little, we used to run around outside. We had like huge basketball tournaments up the street from our house, and we made games outside because like my mom only allowed, when I was little, an hour of TV a day. And it was right after lunch. You had quiet time, so it was like while the little kids were napping, you could watch a movie. And that was like our time that we had on electronics and things when I was little, and that was just the rule of the house. And so it helped me to spend a lot more time outside because we didn't have a computer, really. We had one, but it was like mom and dad's laptop, like the kids didn't use it.
Yeah.
And things like that. But so I was outside a ton, and like we made scooter ball, we played soccer while we were on our scooters, we went on huge bike rides and stuff. It was
dangerous.
It was really scary, but it was so fun. You didn't like actually like zoom, it was just more like you pushed around your scooter. It just made soccer harder to play because you could only use one leg. But it was really fun. We made up games like that. Me and my best friend Summer used to do plays in her basement because like, and we drag her parents down to watch our little 5-minute play thing with our little songs and stuff. And then they would just be like, good job girls, and then they'd go back upstairs and do what they were doing. But it was like so fun. We made props and stuff, and she has a costume box in her basement, and we used to dress up like crazy people and run around the cul-de-sac that we lived by and stuff, and it was just so fun. And then like I was sitting in class after we talked about that, and we were thinking about it, and my siblings don't do that. My siblings get home and they spend 20 minutes is max on the computer unless it's homework. So they do their homework and then they do 20 minutes on the computer or the iPad or Surface or whatever they're using, and then they go to friends' houses and probably play video games and watch TV at their friends' houses instead of here because they can't watch it here. But like thinking about that, my siblings do not have the same childhood that I did, and there's only like a 4-year difference. And so bringing that back into social media is like having the YouTube and all that stuff like up constantly and like watching it and stuff, it takes away from the actual like person, because you're not spending the time with the people you're with at lunch and stuff. And sometimes when me and my friends go out to eat, like get ice cream or something, we set our phones in the middle of the table. Or my friend Summer's actually really good at that. She's like, Myli, put your phone away, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll put my phone away. And it's like, yeah, but we like put our phones away and stuff. But it's really hard sometimes, because I have been to like getting ice creams with my friends when everyone is just on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure that none of them even know the people's posts that they're looking at. They're just scrolling because they can. And a question that was asked in my health class was, when was the last time you were bored? Like really, really bored.
Actually bored.
Like on a long car drive and you didn't have your phone or a coloring book or something, and you just had to sit there and think. And I was sitting there, I was like, I cannot remember the last time I was actually bored and had nothing to do. And she said, we read a quote or something, and it was about how miraculous people are the people who are bored, or like more intelligent people are less bored because they have things going on in their brain. But whereas we have Instagram things and we're never really bored and we don't have really time to think about anything, I think that has a really big impact on why there's so many suicides and things, and depression and anxiety that are so common and stuff, especially in my age group. But it happens everywhere, adults, kids, all of it. But I think I'm surrounded by it more. But depression and anxiety are like a thing that's a constant daily thing that people deal with. And people go home because they're like, oh, I had an anxiety attack, so I had to go home and things like that. But I think most of the cause of that is because no one is bored. No one can sit down and think about things. So once they do, they don't have their phone with them or whatever they use to entertain themselves. Once they don't have that, they actually have to think about things. And once you start thinking about things, that's what triggers the depression and anxiety, is because they have to actually think about things. They're like, oh, I'm failing this grade, I'm a total failure, I can't handle it. And then they pull out their Instagram to distract them from
instead of fixing
the grade. So it brings them deeper and deeper down in the grade or whatever that they're struggling with. And I mean, there are biological things, like you can be born with something that does give you depression or anxiety and things like that. That is an actual biological thing that you can get from your parents. It's a gene. But there are most things that are just developed because of habits and things. And like we talked about that a little bit too. And so after the class, I was thinking, and I was like, there's really nothing that I have good on social media. The most things that I do on there are I DM a couple friends, but I have their numbers. I don't need the social media site to talk to them. And I put on my story the night that I was gonna delete it, and I was like, I can't remember exactly what I said, but talk to them about how, you know, I want real meaningful relationships, because the older people that we watched in the video, they were talking about getting a letter from someone and how amazing it was, because they were actually like, the person took the physical time to write and rewrite and think about what they were writing and mail it to you and things like that. And even talking face to face, you learn so much more about a person and have such stronger bonds when you talk face to face. All of my friends that go to different schools and things, it's really nice to text them, but I cannot go a week without seeing them, because talking to them face to face, you really know how they're feeling. Because you could ask someone how their day's been and they could be like, oh good, I'm doing great, but you don't know that. They could be totally lying to you and having the worst of their lives, and because you didn't talk to them in person, you wouldn't know. And I think one of my strongest like passions or whatever you want to call it is like being there for people. That's something that I feel like I have to do because people depend on me. And so like going through social media and things, it's hard to depend on people when you don't know actually what they're feeling, and it's hard to be there for people if you don't understand what they're going through, because some people are not open about how they're feeling, but you can see it in their face and in their eyes when you actually talk to them in person. So it's much better to have those relationships so you can talk to people in person. And in English, I'm learning so many things at school, but
imagine that.
In English, we had to write a paper about identity, and we were talking about how our friends impacted our identity, and one of the questions that came up was, could you have a real relationship through a Snapchat streak? Like if someone followed you on Snapchat and you was like, it was specifically Snapchat was the question, and one of the girls in my class totally disagreed with it. She's like, you cannot make a real friend without seeing them in person. Like, you might meet at a party or something, like at a friend's party, and then you Snapchat a lot and you talk sometimes, but that's not real friendship. If you haven't, like, she's like, the most important thing about a relationship is communication, and communication is not texting. That is a form of communication, but it's not an important one. You could have a healthy relationship without it. And stuff like that. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, I have a lot of relationships with friends and family and things that I don't need my cell phone to go through. So I want powerful, meaningful relationships with feelings, and like actually like let people know that I really do care about them, and that I'm gonna take the time. Like, if you're sad and you need someone to talk to, I'll have my parents drive me to your house, or drive myself to your house, or when I can. Eventually, like, I'll drive to your house and take the time to actually talk to you. I'm not gonna sit down and do the dishes while I'm texting you about whatever your issue is. I'm gonna actually take the time to talk to you face to face, because that's much more important, or a phone call or something. Because texting people about how you're feeling, it's not as effective as talking face to face. So that's one of the things.
Face to face or voice to voice.
Or
because even just over the phone.
Yeah. Like, I had a rough day
can
and
come through.
Yeah.
But you can't get emotion over text.
Yeah, you can't.
You no matter how many kind of emotion.
No matter how many emojis you use and things, you can't do it. But I do know that there are people out there that social media is really important, because they keep connected with family and things that do live too far away to, it's too expensive to phone call and things like that. And I totally understand that, and that's why social media is so amazing in that sense. But I just felt like it wasn't something that I really needed in my life, because it was taking up time, first of all. And second of all, I wasn't really being me anymore. I was doing things and going places so that I could take pictures and show other people that I was doing those things. But I'm learning that I want to do things for the memories. I want to spend a day with my family and find this weird store and this awesome fuzzy blanket just because I want to spend time with my family. I really want that blanket. But like, I want to do adventures and things to just spend time with people that I'm with. And like, there was this part of the video that we watched, and it was these friends at a dinner, and they were all scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, whatever they wanted to scroll through, and they weren't talking. And then they had the waitress take a picture of them smiling and put all their phones underneath the table, and then one of them posted the picture, and then they all continued to do this. And the caption was like, oh, quality time with my friends, and the whole class goes, no. That's not quality time, that's not what that means. So yeah, did my spiel make any sense?
Yeah, no, it did. And it was, what got me was that she just, out of the blue one day, she's like, Mom, I'm getting rid of this. I'm like, okay. So President Nelson has actually asked us to take a 7-day fast from social media. And she did. And
I did, but I did it on the week of girls camp, so I was out of service entirely. Wow. So I don't think that really counted, so I'm making up for it.
But it's interesting to read the stories of people that have done that have taken like a week off of all forms of social media, and how almost like elevated they felt,
like
and
renewed.
Like relieved,
it's like
and renewed and stuff.
It's break.
Crazy. So I challenge you guys to, if you can't go a week, just try
a day like I did,
a day or two, and you might see improvements in your mood or in your kids' moods or whatever, or tasks might not take as long.
That's probably why it took me so long to get ready in the mornings, because I would get my outfit for the day and I'd plug in my curling iron and I'd scroll through Instagram while I was waiting for my curling iron to warm up. Yeah. But I could be doing other things while I'm doing that, like listen to scriptures or have the talks read to me, or something a little more valuable than looking at what other people are doing.
Yeah. Social media is a wonderful tool, but it can be hard. So we love you guys.
Mom will show us what Jack was doing. Your eyes are kind of creepy, beast.
It's falling off my head. So I know she'll never leave me. Even though she thinks of you.
Yay!
I got myself.